Jolo, officially the municipality of Jolo, is a first-class municipality and capital of the province of Sulu, Philippines. According to the 2015 census, it has a population of 125,564 people. It is said that the Hokkien Chinese traders who frequented the place named Jolo after Ho Lang. Ho Lang, meaning good people, reflects the Chinese perception of the natives. Chinese traders would leave goods on Jolo's shore and find them undisturbed on their return. The phrase was eventually extended to Ho Lo, meaning good community. Part of its population is still of Chinese descent today, particularly from Singapore. In the 14th century, Arab traders landed on the island to introduce and convert its inhabitants to Islam. The native inhabitants on the island are the Tausug people. The Tausugs are part of the larger Moro group which dominates the Sulu archipelago. The Moro had an independent state known as the Sultanate of Sulu, which was politically and economically centered on Jolo, the residence for Sulu sultanates. The seat of the Royal Sultanate of Sulu was in Istana Puta, which is Tausug for White Palace, in Umbul Dua in the municipality of Indanan on Jolo Island. Later on, the capital was moved in Maimbing during the 1800s. The Spanish failed to conquer and convert the Muslim areas in Mindanao. After colonizing the islands in the north, they failed to take over the well-organized sultanates in the south. The Sulu economy relied on the network of nearby trading partners. The sultanate benefited from importing rice from northern Philippines, as the Sulu region had a chronic rice shortage. The sultanate was unable to bring agriculture to its full potential because the area was prone to erratic rainfall and drought. Since the 15th century, the Sulu Sultanate traded local produce with neighbors and with countries as far as China by sea. Most of the import and export trade was done with Singapore, which was estimated to be worth $500,000 annually. In 1870, the Tausug lost much of their redistributive trade to the Chinese because of the Spanish cruising system and Chinese immigration from Singapore, mostly originating from the Fujian province. Most of the Chinese in Jolo worked as craftsmen, skilled and unskilled laborers and domestic servants for wealthy Tausugs and Chinese. Singapore served as a training ground from which they learned the Malay language and became experienced in dealing with Southeast Asians. It was these Chinese who eventually dominated trade in Jolo and benefited greatly from Jolo's status as an entrepot, and exercised profound influence over the Sulu Sultanate. However, the Sultanate was not keen on the Chinese monopoly. By 1875, Sultan Jamal ul-Azam wanted an English merchant to establish himself in order to break the monopoly. At Jolo, Chinese who lived in Sulu ran guns across a Spanish blockade to supply the Moro Datus and sultanates with weapons to fight the Spanish, who were engaging in a campaign to subjugate the Moro sultanates on Mindanao. A trade involving the Moros selling slaves and other goods in exchange for guns developed. The Chinese had entered the economy of the Sultanate, taking control of nearly the entire Sultanate's economy in Mindanao and dominating the markets. Though the sultans did not like their economic monopoly, they did business with them. The Chinese set up a trading network between Singapore, Zamboanga, Jolo and Sulu. The Chinese sold small arms like Enfield and Spencer rifles to the Buyan Datu Uto. They were used to battle the Spanish invasion of Buyan. The Datu paid for the weapons in slaves. The population of Chinese in Mindanao in the 1880s was 1,000. The Chinese ran guns across a Spanish blockade to sell to Mindanao Moros. The purchases of these weapons were paid for by the Moros in slaves in addition to other goods. The main group of people selling guns were the Chinese in Sulu. The Chinese took control of the economy and used steamers to ship goods for exporting and importing. Opium, ivory, textiles, and crockery were among the other goods which the Chinese sold. The Chinese on Maimbing sent the weapons to the Sulu Sultanate, who used them to battle the Spanish and resist their attacks. A Chinese mestizo was one of the Sultan's brothers-in-law. The Sultan was married to his sister. He and the Sultan both owned shares in the ship which helped smuggle the weapons. The Spanish launched a surprise offensive under Colonel Juan Arolas in April 1887 by attacking the Sultanate's capital at Maimbing in an effort to crush resistance. Weapons were captured and the property of the Chinese was destroyed and the Chinese were deported to Jolo. In 1876, the Spanish attempted to gain control of the Muslims by burning Jolo and were successful. In March 1877, the Sulu Protocol was signed between Spain, England and Germany, which recognized Spain's rights over Sulu and eased European tensions in the area. The Spanish built the smallest walled city in the world,